is that it's all sealed, and I would imagine has, enough cord that you could hide it, a little bit below maybe eye level as far as looking at a tank, or how does that work?
Well, since there's no cords that go into the aquarium, the height inside doesn't really matter. The unit is sealed. We have built in a humidity sensor inside the monitor on the circuit board. So in the unlikely event that there's a damage to a gasket or a seal, if water were to start to get in any way, it would immediately trigger an alert to the user, to contact us, and we would then do a replacement to get them a new unit with a new seal. So it's in terms of the depth of operation, it can go as deep as you want in the tank.
Yeah. Interesting. And you mentioned the alerts and things. So we've got the unit in the tank. Then that communicates with something outside of the aquarium that'll connect via the Wi-Fi or via network connection?
Yeah, so it's a direct Wi-Fi. So the monitor will connect to your home or office router. At the moment, we can only work through standard networks. We can't do enterprise networks. So if you were at a hotel where you have to have a guest login page, as an example, the Mindstream monitor does not have the ability to, act as a guest for an additional element of login like that. And, we're looking into ways of trying to work around that. But I think that for most applications right now, that this covers it.
And then from the outside, so once you're on, obviously, once you're on your internet side of things, is there an app or is it solely a web page that you're going to be interfacing through as far as monitoring?
Well, at the moment, we have it's through a web page, but we're rapidly in the process of getting it converted into a native app. We're crossing our fingers we can do that in time for MACNA. We may not be able to get that, in time for that.
Sure.
But, we want a faster user responsiveness, and, running it through the web at the moment is, through just a general web interface is a slower approach, and ultimately won't be anything that we would use for very long.
Sure. How does the, so in that interface is the I'm clogged, I'm leaking, do those type of alerts go out over email or text, or how does that work today from the webpage?
Yes, so it's, you can get, right now we have the ability to do either a text message or an email alert. And so that, the user can configure, which of the two they want, or both. And so depending on the type of event, you get a notification when something goes out of a particular setting, and you get a notification when it returns back to normal. But it doesn't send you a notice every cycle of reading.
Interesting. Okay.
So as an example, if your temperature went too high, and it suddenly, is up to, 83 degrees, it'll send you one notification, that it's above that point, and then no more notifications until it returns below that point.
Oh, that's good. So when you've returned to the status point. Yeah, and my mind keeps wandering, obviously, with all the other control things that, we do on our, on my Apex and stuff here on my phone. It'll be interesting to see how the next, 6 to 18 months play out, and maybe what happens out there, because there's some power in obviously both sides of what the different control companies can do and what you guys are bringing to the table as far as monitoring and sensing. It's very exciting.
Yeah, we have, there's two paths that we're working on right now with regard to development. I have a research and development platform that I use for experimenting with new and cool toys of software to be used with the system. And then separately, we've got the, just keep it simple, stupid approach of, the stuff that's initially in the first phase of what the end users will see. But as the future of the thing will unfold, there's going to be some additional advanced user functionality. that'll assist people with, certainly elements of dosing and getting it a lot, a lot less time consuming to get things dialed right.
Sure.
There's, also some tools where you can watch and see the deal cycles of your tank. So that you can watch what your pH looks like compared to the previous day and the day before that. And so it just overlays plots of 24-hour segments at a time. You can see the patterns of your tank show up in a way that people are not used to being able to see.
Well, and with parameters that we typically have to, I know we've switched in the last little while here to, from the traditional calcium reactor and calc reactor that we've used for 10 years on our systems, with all the science that's come out and learning about ionic balance and how all this stuff affects, it's going to be interesting now where I have to sit there for an hour and do titration tests and test all these little things, to be able to maybe see some of that stuff in a almost real-time fashion is really going to be, I think, something important to the hobby in the next 10, 15 years. So that part of it's very exciting for us to see. Having lived through all those tests over the years, it's a lot of time in my life. I'm sure I'd like back, and a lot of other reefers would feel the same way.
Well, some of the things that we hope to see in the future, there are a number of other parameters that are available to us that could be rolled out. As an example, we've seen some preliminary results that iron could be a possible item that we could measure.
Sure.
Some of the heavy metals, many of the things that you would typically see done in medical diagnostics are the most likely candidates for us to be able to adopt more quickly.
Sure.
So it's going to go beyond the parameters that are there right now, and the disk is reconfigurable to have a larger number of sensors. If we wanted to, for example, the disk could be configured to have up to 24 sensors on it instead of 10 or 12. So it's expandable, but you get smaller sizes of sensors, and as the sensors get smaller, you don't get as many backup readings. We scan the surface of each sensor to get an average across the surface as a way of bettering the reliability of the readings.
Interesting. Yeah, I wonder, would that have any effect on the life of it too? If you had to shrink those down, would that make it have to be replaced more often as well?
It shouldn't. The only thing that it might do is it might reduce a little bit of your backup or redundancy that's built into the system.
Interesting. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and in fact, the monitor has multiple reader heads on it, as you've probably seen in some of the photos. The reader heads allow for it to, if there's one particular head that is potentially in question or having problems, it can shift the readings over to the next head and do the readings with that one as well. And, it's able to dynamically go back and forth depending on, what conditions it might see in the field.
Interesting. Yeah, it's good to see that fault tolerance in there as well.
One of your questions earlier, though, back onto the things related to the Wi-Fi. If the unit is actually submerged deep into the tank, however, you're going to need to have your router on the same side as where the monitor is. It'll not get the radio signal very far through the water column of the aquarium. So usually we recommend that the head of the unit stick up just a little bit where the antenna is, just a little bit above the water surface if you want to get coverage in all directions around your tank.
Interesting. Or maybe have like a wireless bridge or a router fairly close as far as an access point, and maybe in your fish room.
Yeah.
I know a lot of the traditional, monitoring devices that we've used over the years have to have a hardwire. So, a lot of the stuff, Ecotech and a few others now have come out with wireless, and it'd be, I would venture to guess that many reef aquarists either have an access point nowadays or some sort of wireless bridge so they can connect to everything. So,
yeah,
interesting. So it's actually transmitting from the device. There's no what holds it to the glass? Is it suction cups or is there a magnet on the back?
So there's On both the power adapter and inside the monitor, there's 3 very powerful magnets, which will allow it to clamp to the glass through up to about 3/4 inch, much beyond 3/4 inch, and you risk the monitor separating and kind of floating off into the water. So yeah, I guess to answer your question, it's magnets. The power puck does have a suction cup on it as a way to allow you to pull the monitor off without the puck falling to the ground.
That makes sense.